How many times have you fallen in love with a perfect piece of embroidery and wondered, how do they make it so stable, so luminous, so flawless? The truth is that the magic doesn't start when we place the first bead or the first thread. The magic starts much earlier with the embroidery base. Good morning and welcome. Today I'm taking you inside one of the most crucial steps in haute couture embroidery, preparing the embroidery support. It's a topic that's rarely talked about because people often think the only important thing is knowing how to embroider. Truth is, if the base is not properly prepared or stable, even the most beautiful embroidery risks warping, sagging, or losing its precision over time. And I want your embroidery to be not just beautiful, but eternal. The fabric that is stretched over the frame is called the embroidery base. But take note, it's not always actually a fabric or woven material. It can be organza, of course, tulle, but also technical materials like, for example, a water-soluble film that disappears in water, or felt, or even leather. That's why we use the term base. It's not just fabric, it's the surface where the embroidery will come to life, and it's the choice and preparation of the base that determines the stability of everything built on top. Think of a building. We never look at the foundations, but without them, the building wouldn't stand. Embroidery is the same. The base is invisible to the eye, but it supports everything. The first base you encounter in high fashion embroidery is silk organza, a fabric that enchants from the very first touch. Transparent, light, elegant, and yet, if handled poorly, it can betray you. It's extremely delicate. It can shrink, warp, and ruin an entire project. That's why in the ateliers, the real ones, those working for the big fashion houses, no one ever starts an embroidery without first preparing the organza. I still remember the first time I saw it. It was stretched on a large frame. It seemed almost suspended in the air, ready to catch the light from the beads and sequins. I understood immediately that it wasn't just any fabric, but the silent heart of the embroidery. There's a step called decotizing, which prepares the base for the subsequent stages. It's a silent gesture you'll never see on the runway, but it decides the fate of the embroidery. Anyone involved in sewing and tailoring knows this term well because it's a fundamental step even in the preparation of fabrics intended for clothing. If it's not done, in fact, the entire garment risks deforming. The fabric can shrink and not always in a uniform way, so be careful. This is why, in tailoring, decotizing is always done before cutting the pieces of the paper patterns. Only in this way can you obtain precise and stable shapes. The same principle applies to embroidery. Without stabilizing your base before framing, every embroidery is in danger. And it's not just about doing or not doing the step, but also about how it's done. In my Lunéville Basics course, in fact, we see all these gestures in detail, the treatment with steam and heat, the right timing, and even the errors that can await us. In this way, you will have all the tools to create a truly impeccable embroidery that will not be ruined either because the step was skipped or because it was performed poorly. A little tip, mark the center of the organza with a light fold, especially if you are a beginner. It's a gesture that lasts an instant, but guides you throughout the embroidery like a line of light that always shows you where you are. And then there's another pitfall, water stains. A single drop falling from the iron or steamer can irremediably mark the fabric. In the atelier, you immediately learn that the tools must be impeccable, and this is the difference between amateur embroidery and professional embroidery. Not just the artist's hand, but also the care of materials and tools. Perhaps you are wondering, but why does she talk to us so much about the base? Because this is where the difference is born between those who embroider as a hobby and those who truly enter the world of fashion. Those who work professionally know that the public only sees the sparkling surface, but we know that perfection is born from what lies beneath. Preparing the base is not a technical exercise, it's an act of love for embroidery. It's the promise that what you create will last. What you have listened to today is just one step. In my basic Lunéville course, I teach every practical step, from materials to needle and Lunéville crochet, just as it is taught in Haute Couture Ateliers. I am Yelena Savelyeva, owner of the school rikamoaltamoda.t. Thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. If you also feel this fire, this passion for embroidery, and you want to turn it into real expertise, the link to join the waitlist for my beginner Lunéville class is in the description below. Enrollment opens soon, and waitlist members will be the first to know. This could be your first step toward a level of embroidery you never imagined possible.